Hey everyone, this is Bob Kovacs here at Wirefly, and today I want to do a quick overview and a demonstration of the speed of the brand new HTC ThunderBolt, which is the first LTE phone for Verizon Wireless. So this is the first phone that Verizon can sell and say, hey, this is a 4G phone. So I want to check out some of its HTC and 4G goodness. Again, this is the Verizon ThunderBolt. First of all, this has a 4.3-inch LCD screen with a resolution of 480 by 800 pixels. It's a very nice screen. It runs the HTC Sense user interface. You can see by the flip clock here. If you touch the weather icon in the middle of the screen, you get your current weather. Very nice. And if you touch the flip clock, you get all sorts of little goodies here at the bottom, including a global timer, so you know what the time is around the world. You also get an alarm clock that's very easy to set up. You also get a timer, so you can time races. And you also get like an oven timer here, so you can set up to cook your turkey. You know, you need to do your turkey for 4 hours or whatever, and you can start your oven and cook your turkey for 4 hours and whatever you need to set it up for. So it's got some really neat little HTC things going on around here. There's various widgets around for Google, and you can set it up for Facebook and for your email and such. Right now, I want to do a quick tour around the perimeter of the phone. I see that that's not quite right. So we have our volume rocker here. On the back of the phone, we have an 8-megapixel still image camera with dual LED flash. This, the phone here can also do, the Thunderbolt can do 720p HD video. As you see on the back, it has a kickstand so that you can set the phone up on a tabletop. And when you do that, it faces right directly at you. Very convenient. Underneath the kickstand is a significant loudspeaker. So if you're doing a phone conference, or if you're listening to music or whatever, you've got a reasonably sized loudspeaker there. Continuing around the phone, we have the on-off switch and a standard 3.5 millimeter jack on top. On this side, we have the standard micro USB port, and that's it for what's on the side of the phone. On the front of the phone, we have a front-facing camera as well as the back camera. Front-facing camera is 1.3 megapixels, so it's higher than most other front-facing phones out there. It has the typical 4 Android buttons at the bottom, and if you look at some of the applications that it comes with, right here, of course, is the access to your app tray. Just touch that button, and up comes your applications, and you've got lots of preloaded applications here. One of the fun things is the mobile hotspot. This has a mobile hotspot capability so that you can set this up to provide Wi-Fi for several other devices. Since it is a high-speed LTE device, this phone will receive at very high network speeds and then can distribute that via Wi-Fi to several devices within range of this phone. Very nice, and that's no extra cost for that feature. Now, what I would like to do is I would like to do a couple of benchmark tests. I'd like to run both Quadrant and Smart Bench, two of my favorite benchmark tests. These are both loaded for free from the Android market. You can go to the Android market and download Quadrant and Smart Bench. Smart Bench has the latest version is version 1.3. That's what I've just loaded on this phone. So we're going to run those in a minute. First of all, I have this running on the internal Wi-Fi network here at Wirefly. The phone is not activated. However, the network connectivity does not affect how the benchmarks are created. The benchmarks only use the network to download comparison information. It doesn't use the network to actually run any of the benchmark tests. So I'm going to start with Quadrant. Let's see how the phone does with Quadrant. I'm going to run the full benchmark. Now, the phone takes a while, but if you can see, this is really moving on these tests, and that is an early indication that it's going to come up with a pretty steaming score on Quadrant. I'm going to go ahead and leave the rest of the test up here. Now, the Samsung Galaxy S phones record a higher frames per second rate down here, but this still, the HTC ThunderBolt goes through this test at a pretty brisk rate. This is the second of 3 HD tests. This is the last of the HD graphics tests with Quadrant, so we'll know our results in just a moment. I do want to see the results. And this phone, the HTC ThunderBolt, scored 1,831. That is a pretty steaming score. Very, very high score. I have had another phone score a little bit higher. The T-Mobile MyTouch 4G, I've seen it score as high as 1940, but this is certainly within range of that at 1831. Okay, let's go back to the main screen. I'm going to run a Smart Bench test. The Smart Bench test actually runs a little bit faster, so again, we'll leave the phone live while it runs the Smart Bench test. And again, it's really steaming through that arithmetic test. Now, this is a graphics test. It's a little bit slower on the graphics tests, another graphics test. Now, if you compare this with a Samsung Galaxy S phone, the Galaxy S phones really blast through this 3D graphics part of the Smart Bench 2010 test. It's a little slower here on the HTC ThunderBolt, and we will get our scores in just a moment and find out how the Thunderbolt compares with some other phones. You can just barely see the reflection of my camera on the face of this phone. This is the last of the graphics tests on the HTC ThunderBolt. This is called the jellyfish tests, and we'll have our results in just a moment. Okay, here we go. I'm going to display the scores. And the HTC ThunderBolt, now there's two scores here that are part of the Smart Bench test. The green score is called the Productivity Index, and this scored 1,113 on the Productivity Index. The red bar is the Games Index, and it scored 1,525 on the Games Index. You can see how it compares with some other phones here. A Samsung Epic 4G that's been modified to run Android 2.2 scores about the same as the HTC ThunderBolt on the Productivity Index, but it scores considerably more on the Games Index. However, the HTC Thunderbolt outscores the Nexus S in the Productivity Index. So it's really up there as far as crunching the numbers and moving data around the phone. This phone comes with 8 gig of internal storage for your files, and it comes preloaded with a 32 gigabyte micro SD card. So it comes out of the box with 40 gigabytes of storage. That's a really high, excellent amount of storage. Also, the Thunderbolt has a 1 gigahertz processor, and it comes with 768 megabytes of internal RAM memory for the processor. That accounts for some of the really fast speed of the Thunderbolt. So the Thunderbolt is, a very powerful phone. It's a 4G phone on Verizon's first 4G phone. It gets excellent scores on both Quadrant and Smart Bench 2000, among the best scores that we have seen. And I am Bob here at Wirefly. Thanks for watching.